Coming up on Channel 2 News Sunday, the teams are back on the field, the fans are back in their seats. We will have team coverage of what some are calling the first real Sunday of the season. Football the way it ought to be. And we'll meet the Hero Transit Police who rushed into a burning building. They say it's all in a day's work.
And yet another day's work down on Wall Street. Will it ever end?
It's just really a lot of paperwork, and it's going to take more than today to clean it up.
And for those who don't work on the floor, it was time to take to the streets for the last fair of the season.
Now, Reggie Harris, Jane Velez-Mitchell, John Valeris with weather, and Bob Goldshaw with sports. This is Channel 2 News Sunday. Everything you need to know, because anything can happen in New York.
Good evening. After 4 weeks of doing anything else they wanted, football fans are back doing what they love, watching games played by the finest athletes in the business.
The NFL strike may not be forgotten, but at least it's over. Stadiums are filled, TV sets are tuned in, and football is being played the way fans know it best. Fall is in the air, and finally, professional football is back on the field. Outside Giant Stadium, another familiar fall scene, tailgating. Fans who've been away for 3 weeks returning filled with spirit.
I'm a diehard Giant fan. We're going to do it, guys. We're winning the remainder of the games. We're going to do it.
I came here to see some professional sports today, you know? Not a scab game.
Not tough to find outside the gates before kickoff time. But surprisingly, sellers could not always find buyers. How long have you been trying to move that ticket?
For about 2 hours.
Nobody wants...
Nobody will take it. Free. You can have it for free. There it is. Free for you, folks. No problem.
Ed Ruckner's season ticket seatmate couldn't make it today, and Ed couldn't find a buyer at any price for the $18 seat. He called it unbelievable.
I've got a ticket here. I'll give it away if it's somebody wants it. But I think the Giant fans, I don't know what has something to do with the World Series or whatever, but it seems like it's a big disappointment down here today.
A few miles away at Manny's Restaurant, the Giants' favorite spot, fans were back at the bar for the first time.
Go on and march to victory. Whoa, go on that field and destroy.
If you think the fans were happy to have the real players back, imagine how the Giants players felt. After a month off, after 3 replacement losses, the Giants were so happy to be back, they played an almost perfect football game.
It seemed to some of us in the press box tonight that you guys were out to send a little...
Joe's own Channel 2 News.
Bob Goldshaw will be here later in the broadcast with highlights of the Giants and the Jets games. Jay?
Tonight, 2 Brooklyn men are alive thanks to a group of Hero Transit police officers who risked their own lives in a dangerous rescue effort. It all happened in the pre-dawn darkness when one transit cop noticed flames in downtown Brooklyn. The smoke kept pouring and firefighters kept working as the sun rose over Brooklyn this morning, but the most the first to spot flames pouring out of the 3-story residential building in this commercial Myrtle Avenue district. After calling firefighters, Richie and these other transit cops made a split-second decision to go in, realizing they simply could not wait for fire trucks to pull up.
We tried the door was locked. In the emergency rescue trucks, we carried tools. We took axes and Halligan tools. Broke through the door.
The transit officers had no special equipment to protect them from smoke and flames, but that didn't stop them from marching up through smoke to the 3rd floor and pulling 2 men out of separate apartments.
We did think fast, and thank God we were able to get them out without any type of injuries.
It was great. You know, everything worked out real good. We got the 2 guys down, and it was super. 70-year-old man and a 54-year-old man, and neither one of them needed any medical attention. It's really a feather in our cap, I think.
First time you saved a life?
Yes, it is.
After the fire, they grouped around the senior citizen they'd saved. But while it was all happening, they said they did not think about their own lives.
You do what you got to do. I just didn't think about my life.
The transit officers say one of the most frightening aspects of the rescue is that one of the men they saved did not want to leave his apartment. He was afraid he'd lose all his worldly possessions. Well, the officers got him out, but experts say even seconds of hesitation can mean the difference between life and death and warn a fire is no time to think about material possessions.
Police are investigating what they say might have been an attempt to burn a homeless man to death. They found the 26-year-old victim at 12th and West Streets in Manhattan, his legs badly burned. The unidentified McGee to second. He was set on fire by a gang of 5 men who doused him with a flammable liquid. He was taken to the burn unit at New York Hospital. Police are checking out his story. They say they've been unable to verify it. They also say he was sleeping near a bonfire to keep warm and may have accidentally set himself on fire. And in Chinatown, police say 3 hold-up men opened fire in a jewelry store this afternoon, wounding the store clerk and a Good Samaritan who tried to help her. Police say the bandits grabbed $8,000 in gold, then shot the clerk when she ran after them. The 19-year-old clerk and the man who tried to help her are in serious but stable condition tonight. The suspects got away, but on their way out, they dropped a zip gun, a deadly homemade pistol.
A man who allegedly broke into a city councilwoman's garage last night might have gotten away if he hadn't fallen asleep on the job. Police say Bruce Dixon broke into Councilwoman Susan Alter's garage in Brooklyn and touched off an alarm. With police in hot pursuit, Dixon climbed to a nearby rooftop and began throwing pieces of chimney at them. Well, police could not get to Dixon safely because the roof was so steep, so they just took cover and waited. When Dixon finally fell asleep, they grabbed him. He is charged with burglary and resisting arrest.
There's a lot more still ahead on Channel 2 News Sunday. Stock markets are already open overseas as brokers here in New York brace themselves for Monday morning.
A turf war between Mayor Koch and a man who takes in homeless teenagers. And on the avenue we're taking you to, 42nd Street gives way to an autumn celebration. There are those who believe things can only get better on Wall Street after last week's crash. Brokers and clerks spent the weekend picking up the pieces and bracing for tomorrow. For the next 2 sessions, the market will close at 2 o'clock instead of 4. But as Mary Murphy reports, the floor has been busy all weekend.
The sign on the door of the New York Stock Exchange was misleading. Just ask any of the 1,000 brokers and clerks who were working a 7th straight day.
I kind of feel like somebody lifted off the top of my head and put an egg beater in there and then put it right back down. Just really scrambled and worn out.
You have to be in by 8 and you don't get home till like 11. It's crazy. I'm exhausted.
What they were doing was sifting through mountains of paperwork, resolving arguments over who sold what in the panic that followed Black Monday, when the Dow plunged more than 500 points and whole fortunes were lost.
In the last 6 business days, we traded over 2.5 billion shares of stock. And if you tried to measure that, we traded more stock in the last 6 business days than we did in the entire year 1967.
On a very basic level, what happened last week could affect our ability to buy homes at reasonable interest rates and future unemployment rates. President Reagan proclaimed the economy was stable in a nationally broadcast address Thursday night. Of dreams that crashed with the stock market's plunge. One report talked about a veteran stockbroker from Prudential Beige who suffered a fatal heart attack after a week of too much stress. Yet another spoke of young urban professionals reeling from their first financial crisis, people with no memories of 1929 and the Great Crash. Wall Street will be holding its breath Monday morning when the opening bell sounds once again. In Manhattan, I'm Mary Murphy, Channel 2 News.
If the overseas markets are any sign of what's to come, hold on tight. The Hong Kong...
17th Street for use as a temporary prison. But Covenant House wanted the building as a shelter for runaway youngsters and offered a higher price. Covenant House will now begin moving the runaways into the building by January.
Next on Channel 2 News Sunday, a World Series winner and highlights of the Giants' return to the field.
And the sounds of the street at Broadway's Oktoberfest. Stay tuned.
When Baylor comes home, watch Vince Coleman's throw. It gets him. He looks safe, but he's out. He's out because the ump said he's out. Then in the 5th inning, score tied at 2-all. Baylor singles to left. Coleman again. Gary Gaetti tries to score. He's out. Lake taking a pounding as the catcher tonight. Then in the 6th, Minnesota finally goes ahead. With 2 out, Greg Gagne grounds to Tom Wallace at 3rd. Gagne is safe at first. Al Newman scores to make it 3-2. Here's the final out. Jeff Reardon gets William McGee to ground out to Gaetti. Minnesota is the first team to win the series by winning all their games at home and losing all of them on the road. It's the first series win ever for the Minnesota Twins. It was Frank Viola going 8 innings. Jeff Reardon saved it for him in the 9th. The Cardinals lost their last 2 World Series in the 7th and final game as Jack Clark thinks about what could have been. The football Giants took care of the other
The Minnesota Twins, the World Series champions 1987. The National League champions, the St. Louis Cardinals. And in their locker room is Gary Bender. Gary?
Al, thank you very much with Whitey Herzog. And Skipper, I understand you went over the Twins and congratulated them.
Well, sure. They played a great series, especially in this ballpark. And we had a good ball game tonight. We played about as good as we can play. And we've been very vulnerable to left-hand pitching ever since we lost Jack Clark and then lose Pendleton. And Viola pitched great, and he was a difference tonight because we got the 2 runs the second inning. We really never had anything else
immediately following the news.
Reg, good to have the real NFL score.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Bob.
Next on Channel 2 News Sunday, John Bollara says it could be one of the coldest nights so far this season.
He'll tell us what else we can expect next week when we come back.
John Bolaris with the weather, and I don't know whether it was the clocks changing, but it seemed to definitely have that touch of winter today.
Oh, really? Had a northwest breeze, very cool breeze, and Bob could attest to that. Having windswept tennis match, windy. A little wind chill factor today. Even though readings were in the 50s, the wind chill factors are in the 30s. Had a little winter feel to it, and we're dropping like a rock tonight. We're already down to 45 degrees as we take a look at the current readings. The relative humidity stands at 47%. The winds are calm. That means radiational cooling. These temperatures will be dropping quickly all night, and the pressure right now, 30.26. It is steady. We take a look at some of the current temperatures in and around the listening area right now. 47 in Lynbrook, 44 Bohemia. Woodmont 41, 43 Darien, Connecticut. Cold spot right now, Bethel, Connecticut 32, and back in here, Franklin 32 degrees northwest New Jersey. We have clear and chilly conditions right now. The reason for it, big high pressure system sitting right over us. That gave us that chilly northwest wind, and it was a chilly day, but we have the sunshine, so that made up for it. So it looks like one more real nice day coming up tomorrow. If you don't mind a bit of a chill, as this high pressure system will remain in control. We have the camera view right now. Satellite shot shows that we remain in the clear skies. The whole eastern half of the nation is clear. Clouds off the coast. There is a little troublemaker on the weather map. It's going to show you that, but I won't have time right now. We have a close-up view of the northeast right now. Starlit skies, a zoom-in view with the satellite, and you can see just some clouds off the coast there. Not going to bother us. That's just the cold winds blowing across the relatively warm ocean. And right now, quickly, we move to tomorrow, Monday. High pressure in control with sunshine. Picture perfect weather, but there is a cold front heading this way, and by Tuesday, we push the cold front. It's into western Pennsylvania. Some showers will arrive here by Tuesday night, and it looks like a rainy, cold day for the middle of this week. So the forecast, a clear, cold night, will drop down between 37, 42 in the city. Westchester County should read somewhere in the 28 to 34 degree range, and then the surrounding suburbs colder than that. Sussex County down into the 20s. Blue skies, sunshine for tomorrow, 55 to 59. Sunshine Tuesday, rain Wednesday, sunshine returning Thursday and Friday.
20s. I think this is the first time we've heard the word 20s.
There's been a few 20s, but this is widespread. It's going to be a cold night.
Thank you, John.
If that forecast and setting the clocks back didn't I can't believe it. Was coming, consider this. There was another street fair in New York today, but this was the very last one for the year. Hundreds of people stepped out to enjoy the Oktoberfest 42nd Street Fair. Colorful wares set out on the sidewalk, the international food spicing the air, and free performances, all taking on a special nostalgic note today. Oktoberfest was sponsored by 42nd Street Theater Row, the umbrella group of off-Broadway theaters in the area, which provide entertainment inside all year round.
And that's it for this edition of Channel 2 News. I'm Jane Velez-Mitchell.
And I'm Reggie Harris. Billy Martin and Lou Piniella, Bob's special sports update guests, next. Our news coverage continues with the CBS Morning News and Channel 2 News at noon. Until then, thanks for having us in. Make it a good week.